What's up, guys? Auto Fanatic back in the GT350 today. This is actually going to be a pretty cool video. I'm heading north up to Cold Spring, New York right now. I'm on the Taconic State Parkway. It's a nice April day. There's no rain finally, and I switched cars, got the GT350. This is going to make 2 full years of owning the GT350. I'm going to pull over in a couple of minutes. There's a park up here a little bit before Bear Mountain. I'm going to just talk a little bit about the car, a little bit about what's going on with the ownership experience, about the new GT500, because I know a lot of my Shelby and Mustang fans are asking me, hey, are you getting a GT500? Well, you're going to have to stay tuned and watch this video and hear a couple of things that I'm going to discuss about it. Also, I'm wearing my 1965 Shelby racing jacket. This is a very, very special jacket. I'm actually going to pull over at the park. I'm going to take it off and I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you a little bit about the jacket, and I got my Shelby history book in the back of the trunk, and we're going to talk some cars, and like I said, just tell you a little bit about what's going on with my decisions and what's going on in my head as far as, do I keep the GT350, do I replace it? I have a lot of other cars that I want to buy at the moment. I have a lot of things going on as well, you know, with the brand, and I'm so consumed that there's a couple of cars that are on my radar that if I want to get them, I have to do them immediately. I can't wait a year, because what's going to happen is I think the market is going to make a significant shift, and then those cars are going to be totally unattainable, like a Ford GT right now. And that's one of the biggest regrets I ever made. In 2010, I was buying a Ford GT, and I hesitated, and now the car is $400,000. So, you know, I also want to tell you guys a little bit about this car too, as far as where I see the value trends of this car going in the future. I definitely feel this is going to go through the roof within the next 10 to 15 years. Mark my words on that. If YouTube is still around by then and my video is still public, somebody's going to be watching it and say, yeah, he told us so. So let me get off right now. I'm going to get off at this park, and we're going to talk a little bit about the GT350. So, believe it or not, I owned the car for 6 months prior to starting up the Auto Fanatic YouTube channel. And believe it or not, that was the main reason of starting up the YouTube channel, was all the retarded stuff that I was seeing all over the net about people hating the car and not understanding what it was for. And that's really why I did it. I did it to share my experiences as an automotive enthusiast, as a car collector, as someone that really bought this car for a specific reason. Not just to follow the hype. You know, when the car came out, everybody wanted it. Everybody was paying, you know, $10,000 to $25,000 over sticker price to get this car. And the same thing happened with the Hellcat, and the same thing happened with the Camaro ZL1s and all of that good stuff. And what happens is that quick trend dies out. You spent all that money above MSRP. You made the worst financial decision ever. Or you bought a car just because you wanted to follow the trend, and you end up selling it. You hated it. It didn't do what you wanted the car to do or what you thought the car was going to do for you. And that's the thing. Like, this is a very specific car. It's a very special car. Every time I get in it, I love it. I love sharing the enthusiasm with fans around the world that have this car and get it. And that's really, you know, what the brand Auto Fanatic is all about. It's really about sharing a little bit of my world into what I feel is automotive lifestyle. Everything that I do in my life is geared around automotive, about perfection, manufacturing, and cars. That's everything that I do. So the fact that I started the brand around this car makes this car also a little bit sentimental to me, as far as wanting to hold on to it even further. But then the thing comes down to it, it's like, you know, I love buying and experiencing new cars. What do? Do you hold on to a car for 10 years? Then everybody runs into the situation. We don't all have unlimited garage space. You know, I wish, you know, as car guys, we all wish we had just an empty barn in the back of the house where we could park 50 cars. And then we would have motorcycles, ATVs, collector cars, you name it. And nobody would run into that issue of having a storage issue ever again. But that's not reality. You know, most homes today have anywhere between a 1 to a 3 car garage. So you're limited to what you can have and when you can have it and how you can experience it and make it all practical. So I'm just driving through this park now. I'm going to pull over in a couple of minutes. We're going to get out and we're going to talk some more about the GT350 and the GT500. GT350, it looks phenomenal. Just a lot of fun content that I had enjoying sharing with you guys between the modifications, the driving experiences, the ownership. It's now 2 years of owning this car. There has not been anything catastrophic that has happened to the car as far as mechanical breakdowns or anything like that. Like I said, we all complained about, you know, build quality of the body panels, and like I said, you can see here, you know, you got poor fit and finish on the bumpers. It's very common, especially the back bumper. You can see the gap, but it's one of those things where, you know, like Ford has not gotten the body fit and finish on a Mustang right in over 50 years. It's a little disappointing with technology, robotics, and quality control, but it just seems that it's just not happening today, so we have to just accept it as it is. And what I try to tell everyone with this car, you know, you really have to ignore the negatives, like the paint quality, the fit and finish, the cheaper plastic in the interior. You have to really focus on this car and the positive nature and the engineering that went into it that makes it so damn special. And every single time that you get into it, it becomes a very visceral, engaging, and intoxicating experience for someone that's a true automotive enthusiast that loves performance, doesn't want to get a Corvette, doesn't feel the Camaro or the Dodge really does what they want. Like I said, they're all great cars. You know, we have a very competitive marketplace now with these cars, and they're all top performers, but there's only one car in the category that has the hand-built, flat plane crank, naturally aspirated V8, and that is the Shelby GT350. And that's why this car is extremely special. It's going to remain special for as long as these cars are ever on the road, and then they start hitting the collector car market. In the next 5 to 15 years, you're going to see these cars crossing Barrett-Jacksons, ones that are in pristine condition, like my car. If they're well taken care of, they're not abused, they're not modified, I'm telling you right now, these cars are going to be trading on the market when the market dictates the value, and it's all going to be dictated by what the next generation Mustang is, what the government regulations are going to put on the engines with displacements. They're going to be twin turboed. It's just not going to be the same car. It's not going to be the same animal. The new version is probably going to be faster. It's going to be lighter, might drive better, but there's only going to be this particular version that they made with the flat plane crank, and that's why this car is so damn special to me and to enthusiasts all over the world. And it's just a phenomenal, engaging experience. So I predict, because I watch the market every single day, and I help a lot of my clients all over the world buy and sell specialty cars, and I do auto appraisals for insurance and also for car collections. So I think that this car is going to trade at $150,000 to $250,000, probably within the next 10 years. But like I said, we don't know what that is. So now the question comes, you know, for all the guys out there that love this car and want to keep it, you know, do you want to hold on to this car for 10 years? Do you feel it's going to hold up? Do you feel you just want to try something new and get into something different and just have a little bit more experience with, you know, just a newer model? And that's kind of like where I'm running into now, because I go through cars pretty quickly in my life, and not many cars I really want to hold on to unless it's a really special car. And right now, you know, my daily driver, the Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio, that's a really special car as well. And my GT350, another very, very special car, aside from all the vintage cars that I have. But like I said, these are just awesome cars, phenomenal performance. They're not drag racers, but they're not meant for that. I mean, you see on my channel, this is, I think, my 7th set of wheels. These are the signature SV701s. I went 20-inch just so I could kind of get in there and clean the barrels a little bit better, because I'm such a fanatic on how I take care of my cars. You know that. This is the, I did a video on this, one of the very first videos on the custom mud flaps that I made. And that's why the bottom of my car, you can see here, it doesn't have all the stone chips like a majority of them. I don't really like that other option of the rock busters, or whatever they're called, a piece of foam that kind of goes into the bottom. I just think that's a stupid idea, because that's not the issue. The issue is the sidewall of the tire, as it overhangs, it starts kicking up rocks. So you kind of need something that protrudes past the fender if you want to get real protection on the car. Braking system in this car is one of the best I've ever owned, and I actually made it even better with the Carbatech XP8 and XP10 pads. Yeah, you get a little bit of brake squeal, you get a lot of brake dust, but the braking performance that you get when you're on tight, twisty country back roads it gives you a level of security that you can't get with the OEM stock pads, because I tend to overheat them pretty quickly when you're on the pads very aggressively. Also, a lot of guys have been asking me on my channel, hey, how long have your Shelby letters held up? Well, I will tell you now, they held up for 2 years. 2 years. I smashed the bumper a number of times. I did another video, go back on my channel, where I smashed the bumper completely, and I heated it up, and I did body work, and I reblended, and I textured the plastic. That was a really cool video, because like I said, this car has got really, really low ground clearance. And if you watch the video when I did the letters, and how I use a 3M primer and all that good stuff, I power washed this car 4 to 5 times a week for 2 years. For the first year, I was using a gas power washer with 2,500 PSI, shot right at the letters, and they're still on the car. They went through the first really brutal winter. I drove the car through the winter of 2018, and I decided going into 2019, I'm not going to drive the car anymore in the winter, and it's just been sitting for about 6 months because the weather's been so horrible. But overall, the car is extremely practical. You got the, you got the seats in the back. We'll go into the interior. And if you go on my channel, you're a follower of what I've been doing. You guys know I did the Alcantara console and the lid, the shift knob. I did the audio upgrade with the real subs in the back, and it just made the car a lot more enjoyable. I still dislike the cloth on the seats. I'm really hesitant to change it because, to be honest with you, it's going to be a lot of money for me to do it, even though I do the labor myself, and I just don't have the time to do it right now. So I'm deliberating, do I put $10,000 into this interior, and it's $10,000 that I will never ever get back, and it's just going to be something like a free gift to whoever owns this car one day in the future, because it's not going to add any value to the car. Aftermarket modifications do not add values to cars, and that's just a reality of someone that's been in the aftermarket business for 30 years. So, but other than that, you can see the condition of the car. It's great. There's no really wear and tear on my bolsters, and I'll show you that too. A lot of guys are asking me, how is the wear and tear on the bolsters? These are pretty deep bolsters to get in and out of. And on my 2015 GT Performance Pack, the bolster got totally trashed. I had a friend of mine dye it, and then it got worn out again. So what I ended up doing before I sold that car, because I'm very particular on how I keep my cars, and especially when I sell them, I want them to be perfect to whoever buys them, I bought a brand new seat cover from Ford, and I pulled it apart. And this is way before I started a YouTube channel, and I just reupholstered it, and I put a new seat cover on so it was fresh. And that's pretty much how I kept it fresh. Now, about a year and a half ago, I ordered a new seat cover. I have it in a box in my attic. I haven't even opened it yet, but it took a couple of months to get it. And it's just one of those things that I just felt that if these seats were going to wear out, I was going to have a little bit of a backup if I go to sell the car. And you can see the steering wheel. I got to go in here, and I'll probably do a video on that and how to recondition the Alcantara. It's been a while since I've done it. It's been over a year. Floor mats are still the original floor mats, and those are the ones that I've had in the car for a while. You can see there. The car's pretty clean, and that's that. So we'll pop the hood right now. It looks brand new. I pretty much just upkeep it on a regular basis. I just use the Auto Fanatic 007. I clean up the plastics. Every now and then, I will power wash under here to get some of the dirt off. With a little bit of the snow foam, whatever I'm using. And you guys can see that there. And this car was taken apart 3 different times by myself to change out the coil springs. Right now, I still have the BMR lowering springs. I feel those are the best springs that just seem to work well where I'm driving this car and the roads, and it gives just the right amount of drop. You guys can see it there. And I just think it looks perfect. Now, what makes this car special is right here. Okay, you see that right there, guys? Hand-built with pride. Okay, and it's got the signatures of the assembly line, the 5.2 flat plane crank. Now, I've owned a Coyote motor. You know, they're great engines. There's nothing wrong with them at all. And but this is a very special motor. It sucks gas like you wouldn't believe. A lot of customers and people around the world are complaining about burning oil and engine failures and all of that. But I'll tell you guys now, the biggest advice I could give anyone that's either going to buy a GT350 or owns one right now, stop using the Ford Motorcraft oil. It absolutely sucks. It's going to burn. You're going to notice a huge difference in the performance of the engine. Switch to the AMSOIL immediately. Now, as far as the experiences I've had with this car, as I've documented it and showed it on my channel, the only thing that drove me nuts was the oil change from hell video, when I had a dealership in February of 2018 do my oil change, and they over-torqued and seized the oil filter onto the car. And that was 4 hours of struggling and cursing to get that oil filter off. So that was a pretty interesting video. Also, the OEM two-piece lug nuts, that's another video. But other than that, the car's bulletproof. You can work on it yourself. There's an abundance of aftermarket. It just delivers everything it's supposed to deliver as a performance car. And like I said, I consider this a sports car, not necessarily a muscle car, because muscle cars by nature were always known to be like, you know, red light drag strip cars and doing burnouts and going down the quarter mile and eighth mile and all that. This is not that type of a car. This is made for windy, twisty back roads. This is a much more engaging experience. You have to know how to drive the car. You have to know how to balance it. The amount of grip that this car has, front and rear, is incredible. It's just one of those things that there's not many cars out there in the last couple of years that could really compete or compare to the driving experience of this car. And I'm talking about, like, you could get into any of the Corvettes, any of the Camaros, any of the Dodge Hellcats or Demons or anything. They're all very, very different cars. There's only one car in the category, and not even any of the foreign manufacturers, you know, like BMW and Porsche and Audi. None of them are coming up with anything slick and as, you know, insane as this flat plane crank 5.2 NA engine. So the engine story is very, very interesting on this 5.2. If a lot of you guys don't know it, Ford actually purchased a 458 Ferrari, and they ripped the engine apart, and they picked and chose a lot of different ideas on what went into this. So they took the flat plane technology and the idea from the Italians, and they just stamped the Detroit muscle and engineering behind it, which is so damn cool. And that's why this engine is so unique. It sounds unlike any other car in the world. With the stock exhaust, I still think it sounds one of the best. I've heard these cars with different resonator deletes and all of that good stuff. I've also driven a couple of GT350s that have been supercharged and twin turbocharged, and that's another thing that I'll talk to you about in a couple of minutes, is about this car is all about balance. And that's why the 2020 GT500, I am on the list, and I'm going to lay it out there now publicly. I am on the list. My dealer has an allocation for 4 cars for delivery of August. They're telling me August of 2019, so we don't know how accurate that is. But I gave them a deposit already. I have not picked the order options. I have not picked the color. But it's one of those things that it's on my list. I don't know if I'm going to do it because, like I said, you know, if all things being equal, I would love to keep the GT350. I'd love to keep the Alfa Romeo. I'd love to keep all my cars, but, you know, just limited garage space and where you're going to keep them. And I don't really like paying to store my cars at other locations. It just causes a lot of stress, not knowing what's going on with your car. And I don't know, it just freaks me out all the time. So I'm going to grab my my Shelby book for you guys. I'm going to show you some cool stuff. It's a really cool book, Shelby Mustang 50 Years. What's on the cover? The 65 GT350. As soon as you open up the book, the 65 GT350. Now, from the history of Shelby Mustangs, the 65 GT350, to me, is one of the most significant cars that Carroll Shelby and the Venice boys ever created, and it's also the most valuable. Now, me and one of my good clients, we own a 2-digit original 65 GT350. It's an investment-grade car. It's a $500,000 car. Now, it's not a car you're going to ever want to drive around in the streets of New York. It's too risky, too dangerous to do so, but it is an incredible value and a great investment to own. And you can just see some of the marketing media. I mean, look at this thing. The GT350 is on polyglass Goodyear tires, pretty much up in the air off the road. It's just unbelievable. This goes through the specs. So the concept of the GT350, when Shelby made it, you know, his goal was to take what they call the secretary's car, which was the Mustang, and turn it into a race car. And how did he do that? Stripped down weight, increased horsepower of the K-code motor, pulled out the back seat, you know, beefed up the 4-speed, changed the axle ratio in the back, disc brakes up front. You know, he just did his tweaks to it. He dropped the lower control arms to change the front end geometry. There was a lot of little tweaks done to this car, and they were very, very serious performers. Now, if you go through any of these Shelby books, you know, it's really dominated by the 65 GT350. And here's another one here. I would love to do that to ours with the Weber downdraft carburetors, but that's just really tough to find today. So the cool thing about these cars is that there's a lot of history behind them. Now, Ford tried to make GT350s in the past. In the past, I'm talking like, you know, newer, modern production runs. And I think they failed and they hit the mark. All they were just trim packages, and they never really were well-engineered cars like the S550 platform is. And that's why this car is so damn good. That's why it's praised everywhere I go. I bump into guys when I go to some events, people that have cars that are $500,000 exotic cars, and they give me the thumbs up, or outside of Starbucks, you know, anywhere I go, or down in Manhattan, and they just want to talk about the car. And that's what's really cool about it, is that people get it. You know, people really get these cars, and that's why I feel it's a very special car to own. And 2 years into the ownership, I've loved almost every moment and every day that I've taken it out. I enjoy washing it. I enjoy detailing it. I enjoy driving it. I enjoy working on it. And every time I park the car, I enjoy looking back and looking at it, because I actually admire the styling. And here's a real throwback to the red with white stripes right there. That's a 66. You can tell by the different slats in the front grille. These were Hertz cars. There's a black one, and blue is also very, very rare to find an original blue with gold stripes Hertz car. So what I'm trying to tell you guys here, the GT350, you know, there have been a lot of failed attempts by Ford to make a real GT350 over the years. And when this car came out, I didn't even drive it. I just bought it sight unseen. I already knew what went into it. I already saw some of the engineering documentation as far as what was going on with this car. And I knew that this was the most authentic, modern twist on the original formula of the Shelby GT350 Mustang. You're never really seeing the GT350 on the drag strip. You're always seeing it on the road course, and always at high speed, and always going through twisties. And that's where the GT500, I feel, later on, it was a heavier car, it was a bigger car. It just catered to a different audience. You know, the GT500s, they also put automatics, they also made convertibles. And, you know, as soon as you start doing that to the car, you're really changing the whole pedigree and who it's catering to. These are some of the later SN197 models. You know, they had the Super Snake. You know, there were super fast cars in a straight line, but you couldn't get them to hook up, and they did not handle the road course very well. They were actually pretty scary. And this was also one of the later 2011 renditions of when they tried to make a GT350. It was just really I don't really like the trim package. I didn't really like the wheels. And there's a legend himself right there standing next to it. They put a supercharged motor, supercharger on top of the Coyote motor. But like I said, the chassis was not as developed as the S550 Mustang chassis. So if a lot of you guys don't know, like I said, Ford Performance, when they developed this chassis, they copied a lot of the Europeans. They copied BMW, they copied Porsche, they copied Audi. They took the ideas of the motor from Ferrari. So that's not a bad thing. It's actually flattering that they copied from some of the best out there with the multi-link suspension and everything that's going on. And that's why this car is so damn good. It's because they took and picked and chose a little bit of everything from other manufacturers. They put the American muscle twist on it, and the heart of the beast is unlike any other motor in the world ever created. So this is a really cool book. If you guys want to learn a little bit about the history, there's a lot of stuff in here about the GT350. Also, this is another awesome thing you guys should watch. A lot of my customers and fans, I've told you guys about this for over a year and a half. The 24-Hour War. This is one of the greatest stories of automotive racing and rivalry ever to exist between Ford and Ferrari. You could watch this for free if you're an Amazon Prime member. I suggest to watch it alone, and really understand the history of the brand and what went into it. It's just an incredible, incredible story. And I have a lot of Shelby memorabilia throughout my office. I have a lot of original documentation. I just have a lot of cool stuff because, like I said, the two brands that I'm the most passionate about as far as being an automotive guy is Ford and Ferrari. And a lot of that comes down to the history and just cars that I can relate to. And like I said, Shelby to me is an automotive legend as far as what he's done with between the Cobra, the GT40, the Daytona Coupe, the GT350, and so on. The guy was an absolute legend. And there he is there. This is right before his passing in 2012. I'm actually going to take my Shelby team jacket off. I'm going to show you guys quickly a little bit about that. Before I show you the jacket, I just want to show you, here's a photo of Carroll Shelby in 1965 wearing this team jacket that I'm going to show you right here. So these jackets were only given to the factory Shelby drivers of that season. They did not have this jacket in 66 and 67 and so on when they won at Le Mans. So this was like a one-year only jacket, and I just want to show you guys right here how cool this is. So this was made by a guy out in California off the original pattern, and he specifically made a handful of these for some particular reason, just to give to some of the existing team drivers that are still around today and to commemorate Shelby Motor Company. The badges on the jacket are NOS. These are not reproductions. Okay, you can see here, these are all original NOS badges. It also has a white nylon quilted pattern, and you guys could Google the jacket. If you watch the DVD, The 24-Hour War, you'll see a lot of the drivers wearing this jacket. Mrs. Auto Fanatic got this for me a number of years ago. I don't know how she found it. I don't know how she pulled it off, but this is a very, very special jacket. I only wear this on special occasions and when I go to certain shows. You know, it's all part of the history. It's all part of the brand. It's all part of the experience of owning a Shelby, or what I call a true Shelby car. And the, you know, my 2017 GT350 is as true of a Shelby car as they come. And I just wanted to share a lot of my content, a lot of my enthusiasm, and a lot of stories along the way with you guys. And it's been a hell of a lot of fun, a big blast, you know, doing this stuff. I did it for fun. I never knew that this was going to turn into an international brand where, you know, I'm doing upholstery work for you guys and I'm building stuff for you guys, and I got the Auto Fanatic car care brand being shipped and sold all over the world. It's just phenomenal, and I can't thank you guys enough for the support, for sticking by me, watching the channel, you know, joining me in the automotive lifestyle and sharing your passions and quest to do the same as well with your cars and your passion for the hobby. You know, it's one of those things that cars just bring people together, and I started this channel for fun, to talk about the car, to talk about this particular car, because a lot of people were really misunderstanding what the purpose of this car was, or they bought it for the wrong reasons and they were hating on it. And I think I really changed a lot of people's perspective, and I can't even tell you how many GT350s my videos have sold all over the world. And you know, that's kind of like means a lot to me, that my enthusiasm and my background in the automotive world, geared towards performance and building cars and everything else, has really enlightened a lot of people and has given people the enthusiasm to go out and get their own and experience their own GT350 as well. So the question is, what do I do with the 2020 GT500? I don't really know. I'm on the list. I haven't really made my mind up. The thing is, my dealer's telling me there's going to be a small markup on the car between $3,000 to $5,000. And to be honest with you, I would do a $3,000 to $5,000 markup if I really wanted the car. So the thing is, what's really turning me off about this now with the GT500 is, number one, there's going to be a stupid markup for most of the dealers all across the country. I guarantee you they're going to be going for over $100,000, just like the Hellcat was, just like a lot of these cars are. What's going to happen is, there's going to be a very small percentage of people that are going to buy it, whether they're famous, rich, athletes, or whatever, and, you know, dealers are going to sell them at that price. Now, for enthusiasts like us that are hardworking individuals, it's going to put the car unattainable to most. I just don't see spending $100,000 or more on a modern production Mustang. That's just really what it is. I'd rather take, you know, that money and invest it into a vintage car, something that is guaranteed to go up in value. I don't see the GT500, the 2020, ever going to be as popular or valuable in the long term as the GT350 that you're looking at right here. That's just the reality. That's just, if you look at the market trend, you could buy a really nicely restored original GT500 right now, like a 1967, 68, and you could pay $150,000 to $180,000. You want a 65 GT350, you're going to pay between $350,000 to $550,000. So it just shows you, you know, where the market is, where the significance is, and that's really what drives the values of these cars, you know, through the roof sometimes. Another thing too about the GT500, I'll throw some stock photos in the video right now. I mean, I love the way it looks. I think they did a really good job of accentuating, you know, some of the cute styling points. I love the carbon fiber wheels. I like the big wing. I like the fact that they're going to put a normal stereo system in the car. I like that they're going to put leather seats in the car. But here's a couple of things that I don't like. There's no confirmation that they're going to paint the stripes in the car. There's no confirmation that they're going to give better paint quality. They're going to give better build quality. Now, I've already owned a 2015 GT Performance Pack. I had the car for 2.5 years. I had this car for 2 years. The experience is the same. You're still going to be getting into the same chassis, the same platform. Now, if Ford came out and says, hey, for the GT500, we're going to make an aluminum structure up here. We're going to get rid of all the stamped steel. We're going to get rid of all the stamped steel subframes. We're going to put everything aluminum. We're going to do carbon fiber fenders. We're going to do a carbon fiber roof, deck lid, all that good stuff. And we're going to take 500 pounds off the car. Well, you know what? If Ford came out with that in the press release, I'll tell you right now that at the end of this video, this car would be going up for sale immediately, my particular GT350. Because that would mean they're adding value by increasing the engineering and giving you more car for your money. You're going to be spending a lot of money for this car, the GT500, and really all you're getting is a GT350 with a blown motor on the end of it, and you're not getting the flat plane crank. So, you know, something that I noticed when I drove a couple of these that were turboed and supercharged is the balance. And these cars with 700 to 850 horsepower can get very, very scary. I feel that the suspension architecture in the back of the car has a very hard time coping with that on the street. And when you're going through some twisty roads, when that boost kicks in, you have a very good chance of wrecking this car. And that's another thing that concerns me, because I've owned very high horsepower cars. My CTSVs, I had a Hennessy 750 horsepower kit on that car, and it was just like a good burnout car. That's all I did with it. I just did burnouts. Now, I don't live by any kind of drag strip anymore. Englishtown closed down, so can't really go down there, and let alone, I don't have interest at my age to go to a drag strip to go run my modern sports car. So, I don't know. I'm still weighing the idea. I may still get the GT500. I may buy it to sell it. I don't know yet. We have to just see. If I do order it, it's most likely going to be the light blue, what they call guardsman's blue with the white stripes. I'm going to do the full, you know, race pack on it with the carbon fiber wheels, the wing, and all that good stuff. But we'll see. And like I said, thanks for joining me on this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing your enthusiasm with me and the brand and helping the brand grow worldwide. Continue to enjoy your Mustangs, your Shelbys, whatever you have. Just doesn't matter what you drive. But if you have passion for cars, please share it on this channel. Always send me a message. I'll always respond to you guys direct. You guys know that. And like I said, I just love doing what I do every day. And this is it. So see you guys soon. Hit up the website, autofanatic.com. I'll be doing a comprehensive story on my 2-year ownership, along with some more discussions of the GT500 as well. You won't want to miss that if you guys want to just get a little bit more info. And feel free to send me an email if you guys have any questions. If you guys are on the fence of you should sell your modified 5.0 Mustang or your GT350, really put everything into perspective. You know, do you really need that car, or do you really want that car? And how much are you willing to pay for that car? Because I don't want to see anybody out there going to pay $100,000 or more for a GT500. I just think that is foolish, absolutely foolish in this day and age. I'd rather see you guys take that money and invest it into something else, even if you started up a small business on the side with some of that money. I just can't see it pouring it into a car that's going to pretty much depreciate as soon as you drive it out of the dealership. So I'm closing the hood. I got to get back on my journey upstate New York. I'm going to enjoy this car because I absolutely love it. I'm going to go put gas in it in about 10 minutes because the gas is running low already just from driving from my house up to this park. But like I said, this car is a blast. Every moment of the day, I absolutely love it. Car's running, warmed up, oil pressure's up to temp. We're going to get back in and we're going to haul some ass. So I'll see you guys soon. Autofanatic at yahoo.com. Go to the website, auto-fanatic.com.